So join me, Gary McNamara,
and me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
right here on WOCA, The Source.
All right, 18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. We're getting closer and closer to Turkey Day, Robin.
Yeah, so looking forward to it.
Turkey Day is tomorrow. And then you have more turkey on Friday.
Yay!
I actually like the day after turkey. In fact, when I go to the deli to ask for sliced turkey, I always, they'll say, what, because there's so many choices. I like to have a half a pound of turkey or whatever, and they'll say, well, which kind? And there's so many choices. I will always say, can you give me whichever one tastes the most like the day after Thanksgiving? And they always know where to go, and I couldn't tell you what it is.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what they cut for me, but they do. And then the other secret to it is this, and I can never get a deli person to do this the right way.
Okay.
The right way for me would be, don't put it on the slicing machine, because the slicing machine, the thickest it'll get is not even a quarter inch, I don't think. But the way for me, if I had my choices, take a knife, just cut these big half-inch slices. Don't put it on the machine because it's going to be too thin, right? Because when you have the day after Thanksgiving turkey on a sandwich, don't you like the thick?
Oh, I do. Okay. I love the thick.
All right. I believe our guest is on the phone. We had to start in advance, so we didn't have a chance to chat with him off the air. I hope. Maybe it could be a publicist. Let me check this real quickly. Good morning. Is this Steve?
This is Steve, yes.
Oh, good. Good morning, Steve. You've been with us before. I don't know if you remember us. Steve Kleinedler educates us about our words, which is how we make a living, by the way.
Yes.
Which is why I'm so disappointed that I learned the other day that if in 2014 you're still saying, what is it again? Solo? No. What's the word? It's an acronym that means life. Life. What is it?
Are you talking about YOLO?
YOLO. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, I'm not using that word.
What is it? What does that mean again?
I'm not using it. You only live once? No.
You only live once. Right. Yeah. Oh, look at it. You only live once. Yeah, and I didn't even know that. So is that in the dictionary? I don't think we've added to ours. It's a little too slangy. I have absolutely nothing against slang, but our dictionary isn't really known as a slang dictionary. We have not added YOLO. Again, no slam against slang. All right, Because we kind of had an awkward intro, let me introduce you properly. Steve Kleinedler is on our phone, on the air. He's a linguist and the executive editor of the reference group at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, and he's talking about the 5th edition of the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language and the latest additions to the dictionary. So with that said, good morning, and where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am calling today from Boston at our home office.
See, it makes sense that Boston will be where we get our words from. It just makes sense for some reason. All right, so what about twerk? Is twerk in the dictionary?
Twerk is not. I think we might have discussed this last year.
Did we really?
Yeah, we could have. Twerk itself has actually been around for several decades. It's something that we're looking at to see if it's gonna stay around. Notice people aren't talking about it as much this year as they were last year.
I'm so behind the times.
Yeah, in a related, we are looking more closely at the dance sense of bounce, which is a style of hip hop that twerking came from. So we're looking into adding a new sense at bounce pretty shortly.
How about
without bounce? There would be no twerking.
Are there any words that came into our vernacular? Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are there any words that came into our everyday use that are directly from acronyms associated with high tech or technology? Wi-Fi is a shortened form of wireless fidelity, for example.
For some reason, I'm only thinking of things that are 30 years old, like RAM and ROM for hard drives. But yeah, it does happen. Yeah. Yes, it happens. Not as often as you'd imagine, though.
I think somebody sent me a list here. Is pre-game actually a new word?
Pre-game, well, this is, we're talking about new words and new senses. The sense of pre-game meaning happening before a game obviously is old because pre can be attached to pretty much anything. What we're talking about is the new sense, the noun sense for the party or social gathering that occurs before an athletic competition. It could be a tailgate, it could be in someone's home, it could be on a porch, it could be in the street. The use of pregame as a noun for this party, and then from that, the verb that means to drink before you go out drinking. So like if you're going out to a club, if you pregame, you can be at home, drinking before you go out and have to pay for the drink.
Goodness.
It's that sense that's new.
How does pronunciation fit into the listing of the new words? Is stress on the first syllable or the last, or how does that?
Oh, if you're what you're talking about is the usage note that we have at the word HARASS. What's interesting about that is we've been polling our usage panelists about that for the past several decades, and a couple decades ago, it was pretty evenly split between Harris and harass. But as time has gone on, the dial has definitely shifted over towards harass. In 2001, the 70% favored harass over Harris, and last year, 90% preferred it. So in a very short amount of time, this newer pronunciation, that popped up in the middle of the last century, harass has become the more favored form of pronunciation.
Wow. I don't know if you know this. We broadcast from the local mall, and we have a lot of people walking past the mall. And when a pretty girl walks by, I certainly don't look at Harris, but I look at,
no.
but I do look at harass.
Then there's that. Yes. This
What about
an elaborate setup for a joke?
I know. I'm sorry.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
No. Don't apologize. It's what happens with radio. So
it is my job. I know. Thank you. What about fracking? Is that a new word, or has that been around a while?
Fracking we added last year, and we may have spoken about it, but yeah, but it is a relatively recent term. Yeah.
All right. So let me just ask you, rather than trying to guess what they are. What are the new ones?
So some other ones, I believe last year, and we always talk about food, so we have Saison, which is a ale, beer from Belgian origin. It often has a slightly fruity flavor and a cloudy appearance. As more and more people across the country are drinking craft beers, they're becoming more and more aware of different kinds of beers, and this is a good example.
Oh, okay.
You have the word pet Coke.
Yes. This is in the same field of energy that gives us fracking. Pet coke, which is short for petroleum coke, it refers to the byproduct of petroleum refining. It's used as an industrial fuel, and it's also used to manufacture iron and other products. So that comes from the energy industry.
By the way, I just did my silly joke. And I wanted to ask you something, because in radio, I couldn't have gotten away with that some years ago. I don't know how long ago that would have been taboo. But now I can say it and we get away with it. Mm-hmm. There are still some words we can't say on the radio, but pretty much a lot of the ones that we used to be, maybe it wasn't forbidden by the FCC, but it was kind of a common thing. You wouldn't do that kind of thing. Right.
I think there's certainly been increased permittivity of what goes. I think the expansion of cable has played a lot into that. People are just see it more. There's Carlin's 7 words that you can't say, and I don't think you can say any of those still.
I don't think so.
I won't. You don't have to put your finger on the buzzer. I'm not going to say any of them. But certainly words that wouldn't have been said on TV in the 70s are pretty routine now.
So what, in my notes, why does this say cojones? What do I do with that word?
Oh. Yeah, what we're talking about here, we have a freelance etymologist who spends a lot of time expanding the history of where the words come from. Our old etymology for cojones just went back to Latin, ultimately from the word testicles, but he expanded that definition, going further back into vulgar Latin, the word that meant testicles ultimately came from a word that might have been meant leather sack, which had come from a Greek word meaning ripe fig that might have meant sack-like thing.
Oh my God.
So it goes into depth as to how this word came into English.
So sometimes the job for a radio these days, especially in Florida, requires you to be bilingual. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say I am bilingual. I can speak English and vulgar Latin. I can speak vulgar Latin a little bit.
Yeah, cojones has definitely moved from Spanish into English here.
And you're so smart because you knew, okay, I'm going to talk to goofy radio guys, and cojones should be on the list. We should definitely.
That's exactly what it's there for. Sometimes I'm talking to the NPR station. Sometimes I'm talking to the drive time guys. I figured someone would take the bait on cojones.
Yep, and I did.
You have the word rescue breathing in here. Is that going to be a substitute for CPR?
It is not for CPR, which also involves pounding on the chest. Rescue breathing is the new term that they use in place of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is actually on here because it points to the fact that sometimes words that are used to refer to things change. So the concept isn't new, but the word used to describe it too. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they moved away from mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to get over some of the ick factor. When people thought about doing the concept of mouth-on-mouth, like there's kind of an ick factor. So if you call it rescue breathing, that takes that subliminal worry about I have to touch someone on the mouth.
Which they've removed that from the CPR classes now. They just do the heart pumping thing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
CPR itself, there's still times, especially, I'm not trained, so I'm not sure which is which, but there's still times where you need to do the rescue breathing. But yes, for CPR itself now, you're right, they actually do emphasize the importance of the heart pounding over the breathing.
I still use my dictionary, even though I have have a Kindle.
Yeah.
Even though I have that, I still like the handheld dictionary.
Thank you.
Steve Kleinedler, give me a website so we can send our listeners.
Yes. ahdictionary.com has all of this material. All of our definitions are online there, and then you can get the book itself at any online or brick-and-mortar bookstore.
There you go. AH Dictionary, as in American Heritage Dictionary. Fun topic, Steve. Thank you for making it fun, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much, and both of you as well. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. We're just learning that Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized. The 81-year-old had surgery to replace a stent in her right coronary artery, and a court spokesperson said she had some discomfort last night during